And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Eric Allard with Tilson Homes. Welcome to another episode of Tilson Live. We are coming to you live today. You'll see we have a special guest. We'll introduce here in a moment. But first, I am joined, as I am every single week, who makes all this possible. Everything that you see on the face of Tilson is Dawn Dancer. Say hello, Dawn. How are you doing?
Hey, everybody.
All right, so Dawn's joining us today, as she always does. Obviously, drop everything in the chat. We will be monitoring that the entire time. So Dawn and I will be watching it, and this other guy I'll introduce in a second. I know you noticed this guy. It's not, by the way, it's not a mirror image of me. It is in fact, a different person who we'll introduce here in a moment. But do let us know kind of where you're watching from right now and where you're going to be building. We're excited to see everyone joining us. I hope to give you all this information. We are live on Facebook and live on YouTube. And before too much longer, without further ado, we have, for the first time, we've allowed someone into our midst, Dawn, that I never thought we'd let in, and that's a realtor.
I know. I was surprised when you said he was coming on. So I am excited.
Yes.
He must be a pretty special realtor.
So he is an award-winning, highly rated Houston area realtor named Tim Sojka. Hey, Tim.
Howdy.
All right, so Tim Sojka is with the CTIM Sell Property Group. He is a good friend of mine, also a business associate. We've done many deals together between him and Tilson. And also family members of mine. So he's helped he helped my own mother sell her home. Okay, I mean, there's not much higher recommendation than that, and I do love my mom, so it wasn't like I experienced it. But yeah, so my mom, my grandparents, I think my cousin most recently. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're kind of running out of Eric's family members.
I just wish you had more relatives.
Well, that makes one of us. So
well, to meet the entire Tilson family now.
That's right.
We've got all of our prospects and.
So anyway, we're so grateful that you're here, Tim. Thanks so much for joining us. Folks, today we are going to talk about all things real estate related. We know you got questions. This is somewhere where we actually don't have a whole lot on the Tilson side because there's actually not real estate changing hands in a Tilson sale. Well, maybe we'll get into that a little bit later, how that really works. But anyway, Dawn, I know you kind of live in this world. You're married to one of these people, these realtors. They can be lived with. They can be tolerated. They're good people. But no, Tim's one of the hardest working guys in the city of Houston. Phenomenal agent. Does awesome things for his clients. Awesome things for our customers. He has a special program he does for us that we'll talk about in a little bit. But without further ado, Tim, tell us about.
I see Brandon Martin online. Hello, Brandon Martin.
Yeah. Speaking of the cousin.
I saw Klondike, Texas check in. Hello, Klondike, Canyon Lakes, Las Vegas. Hey, everybody. We're glad you're here. Wow, Grapeland just checked in. Is that Grapeland?
Yep.
Yeah.
We've got Las Vegas.
I know Grapevine. I don't know Grapeland. It sounds intoxicating.
The one-liners will be strong today.
I promise it will not be boring. The jokes might be bad, but it will not be boring. All right, so questions. What do we got?
Well, first of all, tell us a little bit about, I know you're born and raised in Silsbee, Texas, so you're a good old East Texas boy. Tell us a little bit about your journey. What brought you into the real estate? Because I know you didn't go straight into real estate out of high school or college. So how did you wind up doing this noble profession?
I was a Navy brat, so I was born in San Diego, and my parents got divorced, and my mom got back to Texas as fast as she could. So I moved to Texas when I was 5, having never eaten. So when you get to Texas and have never been here, collard greens.
Oh, yeah.
What the heck is that? Red beans and rice. Who knew? Tea. Cold. Who knew? So I didn't like red beans and rice right away, so I developed an allergic reaction from my grandparents. Hey, I can't eat that. I'm allergic. So Texas was like a culture shock, but it was so incredible to get to see the people here and just the different environment. Growing up in a small town was a blessing. I ended up going as far away from college, from Silsbee as I could, though, to Texas Tech for college and still paying state tuition. The reason I went to Texas Tech is I had an advertising degree. And when I grew up, Darren Stevens was on Bewitched.
Okay, yeah.
And he was in advertising. He had an advertising degree, and he had a beautiful wife and a nice house. And I'm like, that looks like a good day. My whole thinking was based on Bewitched, by the way. Everything wrapped up in 30 minutes. It looked like a great idea. So I went to Texas Tech.
Clients got whatever he was talking about. It was great. It's great.
He had a boss who always did what he wanted. It looked awesome. But I got my degree. I went to work for Pepsi right away. They promoted me 4 times in 2 years. I was the youngest district manager in the state, and then they fired me for being too cocky, which I was because I was 22 and stupid and thought I knew everything, which of course I didn't. I have to admit now. So I was fired from Pepsi at 22 after 4 promotions in a year and a half, basically, and ended up at Nestle and was with them for 15 years. So Nestle really taught me the corporate way of doing things, and really made me very systems-based. They had great classes like spin selling. They taught me the disc profile, which I still use to this day. A lot of great learning. And when I was 38, I had bought 5 or 6 homes for investment, and I had moved a number of times and bought homes. And I kept working with realtors, and my wife said, you know a lot more about real estate than they do. You've read a lot more about real estate than they do. So why don't you go try that? And your husband's a realtor. You'll know everybody thinks they can be a realtor. And I was one of the stupid people who thought they could. In Texas, you can't swing a dead cow without hitting 4 realtors. So it's literally 1 of every 5 people in Houston, realtor. So we had to do something that stood out. But luckily, from Nestle and Pepsi, even to give them credit, I'd really learned to be systems based. So CTIP sales really run like a business. There's 18 of us now. We have a team of 18 people.
Oh, wow.
250 to 300 homes a year. We'll do 10 million just in commercial this year. I run the commercial business. So we have a residential branch and a commercial branch now. But we've done over 3,000 transactions now since 2005. But I really credit that to getting to learn from the big boys for 15 years, and learning that I didn't know everything when I was 22. And really having great managers. I think the biggest blessing I had great managers like Mr. Allered there. I couldn't imagine how great it'd be to work with you, but I had great managers again and again, and they really built me up. Like a lot of the managers I had, like one of them's running Starbucks now.
Oh, wow.
One guy is running Nucor. So a lot of the managers that I had went on to bigger and better things, and I got to learn from those guys. So when I started my business, I just tried to do what they did, and that was really it. And so we're a real estate company, but we're not really. We're really a systems-based business that happens to be in real estate. So,
well, that's awesome. I'm glad you're on our side. So glad, grateful that you can help our customers out. But mainly today, folks, I want you guys to just pick Tim's brain about all things real estate related. Obviously, we're here to answer all your questions about building on your land, buying land on rural property, site preparation, all the usual stuff that we are happy to cover because we genuinely believe the best kind of home buyer is a well-educated buyer. You're going to get your information from the internet. It might as well be from a trustworthy source like Don and Tim and me. So speaking of Nucor, by the way, here's your Kevin Bacon 6-degree separation. Nucor is a parent company of a company called Volcraft, which has a huge facility in Grapeland, Texas. So there you go. Done.
There you go.
Can't be taught for the rest of the day. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about kind of maybe what you're seeing in the real estate market, broadly today. What do you see? And it can be a national level. Obviously, all we care about really is the Republic of Texas, but there's national stuff happening. We're aware of that. So let's hear what's going on.
All right. So I would say, by the way, someone else just said Bewitched was their mentor too. So great job there.
Yeah.
All right. So real estate as a whole. So a lot of people think real estate's a national business. It's not. Real estate's not even a statewide business. Real estate's not even a local business citywide. Real estate's a school by school business. A elementary school, there's certain elementary schools you want to go to. I've literally seen property on different sides of the street that are zoned to different elementaries. One literally sold for twice as many as another. So in saying that, real estate is a local business. and markets are greatly affected by education first. Everybody wants their kids in the best schools. But as a whole, Texas is doing really well, and Houston is doing better than most. The reason Houston is doing so well is people are moving here from California, like that state was broken because, well, that state's broken. People are moving here from New York like crazy. It's all over the country. But the reason they're coming here is they can really get a great home for the money, and they can have land. And that's, I think, one reason that Tilson rings so true to people. People can buy a beautiful piece of land and build a home they want on it. But this is a market that's actually probably smarter to be building right now than buying, because the inventory is really under such test right now. If you ask me how the market is doing, I will tell you I've had one home in the last 3 months that we've had listed that didn't have multiple offers the first weekend.
Wow.
One. We listed one property for $2.2 million. Those are not the kind of homes you normally see multiple offers on. We sold it for $2.13. I listed a home at $1.2 million last weekend. Again, not the kind of home you see multiple offers on. Sold at $1.3 million. That's the market we're in. I think builders are in the best position they've ever been in, because they are kind of the last resort. Existing inventory is so tapped out right now. The builders are really the place to go. I think the problem with builders, and Tilson, you guys get to dance around this some, is you can build a house in 6 months. What you can't do in 6 months is develop land. So I feel, and Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel all the developers missed out and are really behind right now. Basically, Ellison's still building, but Aliana's sold out on our side of town. What's the farming community down there? I just went blank. Sold out. Yeah. All the major subdivisions are basically hitting a point where they're sold out. Developers aren't developing land right now at a pace they need to keep up with demand. Again, if there was land, we don't have a building problem because builders can build in 6 months. But what I've seen is a real lack of vision from the developers. There's not enough developed property out there right now. So
part of it, I mean, lack of vision.
Builders catch up.
Lack of vision may have been one. I don't know as much about the development side, other than we develop every lot that we build on. We know that on a micro scale, but I also know that they, after the 08, 09 thing, nobody wanted to be stuck holding the bag, right? So
that's true.
You had lenders that really tightened up on financing undeveloped land. So a lot of those builders had to switch to they were out of their own capital, doing it themselves or with investors. And everybody, they were doing it kind of slowly, I mean, it was we'll kind of do it as needed. There's you wanted it to be just behind demand, right? Like, as long as we're just behind what the demand curve is, we're safe, because we're not going to overdevelop, and outrun the demand. Well, then demand went berserk.
Yeah, and so demand went crazy for about 7 reasons. I'm trying to do it 7. Demand went crazy because people are moving here from out of state. We talked about that. Demand went crazy because homes have never had a higher intrinsic value because of COVID. So that could have went a lot of different ways. We thought, well, people are going to lose their job because of COVID. Home prices will go down. Wrong. Home prices went up because people's homes became where they watched movies, where they had picnics, where they did everything. So the intrinsic value of homes have gone up. People are now educating out of their homes. It's their school. A lot of times, that's where, like I said, it's where they watch movies. People don't want to live in apartments right now. People are moving out of apartments into homes. Again, the schools on the west side of Houston, which is where I work, are better than they've ever been, and they're most sought after. So we have so many reasons. The large plastic discovery that, Eric, you've talked about for years, is still paying off. So there's so many things that are going on right now. I don't see demand slowing down. I mean, it could, but I don't see demand slowing down for some time. Eric, what are your projections on that?
Yeah, it's the same. I mean, people have not stopped moving to Texas, and as long as people are still hiring, which is, I think we can all agree, that's an issue right now. There are more jobs nationally open than there ever have been in the history of our country that we can't fill. So, I mean, as long as people are still hiring, people can still get jobs, people are still on the move. So, I mean, demand, and people are still moving to Texas. So the demand's not slowing down. If builders quit selling today, it would still take their construction teams almost 14 months to catch up with what's already been sold, and that's not been built yet. So it's not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, it's not slowing down.
So directly for folks here, obviously a lot of the folks we work with are moving from somewhere to, they're moving from one of these, Aliana or the Woodlands, or Cinco Ranch or Circle C in Austin, maybe they're moving from there to somewhere else. Tilson's 100% built on your land. How does the real estate thing play into that? They have to sell a house first before they can move in a lot of cases. How does that work? What's that look like on your side?
Real quick, one thing we didn't address real quick is Corona also sped up the fact that people are working out of their home more now. And if you can work anywhere in the country, why wouldn't you move to Texas? Right. So, I mean, I love the state and I'm prejudiced, but still, that's one thing I think it's important to say. A lot of people are moving here because they can work from anywhere now. Why not work from Texas where you can have a great home for the money? All right. So I think the selling process is easier than it's ever been right now. And the reason is we can negotiate better terms for sellers right now than we've ever been able to negotiate. Hey, I'm going to ask my buyer when they buy the home to let me live there 2 months for free. We can negotiate that right now. Hey, I need to find temporary housing. I need something to lease. There actually is plenty of places to lease right now. So we do have enough lease inventory. What we're really lacking is purchase inventory, which people are buying. So we can negotiate better terms for sellers right now than we've ever been able to negotiate. Extended time in their home is one. We've been able to negotiate the buyers paying title policy. We've negotiated the buyers paying all the HOA fees. I mean, right now, the buyers can ask the sellers to basically pay for nothing. So there's never been a better time to transition to a new home because you can really negotiate some pretty good terms. And there is some inventory to lease out there if you want to.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Yeah, and a lot of our customers, you do a specific deal for our customers if they are under contract with us.
Right. Am I allowed to talk about that?
Yeah.
All right. So if they contact us early in the process, we will actually sell their home. We'll sell their home. They do pay us, but then Tilson gets back basically the amount that they got paid to them at close. So the commission that Tilson forwards us, they forward to the client, or they forward us and we forward it to the client. So basically you can get our services for free. Someone who I think we've done over 60, 70 transactions with you guys now.
That was going to be one of my questions,
yeah. I think I tracked. I think we're getting close to 75, but not quite there. But we've sold so many homes for Tilson. You get our services for free if you have a home to sell and if you involve us early. And for us, we're in the Houston area, the 3 or 4 centers that are closer to here. But we can help you also in other areas find that program for you. We'll track down an agent for you that'll kind of run the same program. And we've done that.
Wonderful.
Before. But we are happy. So we're happy to do that for you guys. It's a great program. It's a win for everybody. The buyer wins, Tilson wins, we win. We make a little, the buyer saves some money, and you guys get a home sold. So it's a win.
Yeah. So if y'all want more details on that, we can go into it with directly with Tim or with any of our sales consultants in the area. And anyway, so it's a really, really good deal. Like I said, it saves you quite a bit of money, and a little bit of headache there too. So. Dawn, I see we have a couple of questions. You want to put some of these questions up and see what we can do for some.
We do. I think the first one's for you. Do you know the going rate for flat work driveway in Waller County? How much per square foot? Also, is it typically poured 4 inches thick?
It is typically 4 inches thick. Yeah, we do 4-inch thick flat work. And so we're looking about, it's going to depend a little bit, by contractor, but it's somewhere between the $6 and $8 square foot range. That's completely turnkey. So that is assuming a flat surface. Now, Waller County pretty much is, but if we have to do tractor work to bring it up to like where the garage is or something like that, that's not included. But typically Waller County is pretty flat, not an issue.
Okay. Great. We've got Lucky Luke from Houston thinking to build on our land in Canyon Lake, wants to build the Canyon plan. Questions: can a balcony be added to the second floor game room? And if so, what would be the cost of that? And can it have a wraparound porch?
So you can, it's very rare. There's only a few places you could do a balcony on the second floor because it cannot be over living area. It has to be over like a porch type. So we're not going to do it over living area, not going to do it over garage. But so I don't have a price. There's no average cost. We do it very, very rarely. And yeah, wraparound porch, we can do that on any house. We can wrap around just one corner or both sides of the house or whatever.
Yeah. So Luke, get with your design consultant and they can get you a custom quote to make those changes. Tanya is asking, this is the
This
last
is
year that she.
definitely for Tim, by the way.
This is definitely for Tim, and
Or
I'm gonna have
CPA.
to put it up and take it down so that I can actually read the whole thing on my screen. But this is the last year that I qualify to be exempt for my capital gains tax for my primary home that is currently rented out. The lease expires at the end of October. With the COVID moratorium expiring in October and the holidays starting in November, would it be a good time to list my home for sale in November? And do you foresee an inventory dump of homes once the moratorium ends? She's just trying to figure out the cost benefit. If foregoing the capital gains tax exemption is worth it, she should keep the home as a rental for another year. Like, what do you think?
Well, if the capital gains is out, she's owned that home a while. Great job, by the way, for owning that home so long. I think the key question to answer is the single best time to sell your home is April, May, June. But we call it the second selling season. The second best time to sell your home every year is October, November, December, because people are trying to get in a home so they can get their homestead. So to answer your question is, I think November will be an excellent time to sell. We're seeing the August lull, which we'll address in a minute. We always see the August lull because kids go back to school. But November, December it's a really great time to sell. If you can get your clients out in October, get that home ready really quickly, you can probably have it under contract and maybe close by December. And if it's a rental home, I guess it's probably less than $300,000. Those kind of homes are selling like popcorn right now.
Excellent. Okay.
I was gonna go ahead. Go. Yes, it's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Jesse's saying, for selling a home, does it matter if the house is staged or empty during this market?
What do you think?
It doesn't matter as much as it does in some markets, although a staged home will help you sell the home faster. And for a little more, this is a market where it doesn't seem to matter as much. But if you do have the furniture, if it's something you can do moderately inexpensively yourself, if you have really good taste, absolutely stage your home. You'll make a little more on it. People get caught up in the lipstick and rouge of a home more than the bones, which they should be able to look past it, but a lot of them don't. So if you can stage it cost efficiently, absolutely stage it. But in this market below $300,000, you don't have to. If it's a $500,000 or $600,000 home, yes, for God's sake, stage it. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Carly is asking, you're talking about doing a lease. She is from Texas, the California military family. They retire in October, but their home will not be ready until February or April. So is it easy for her to find? Is it easy to find kind of a house for a short-term lease?
So house, that's a tough answer. House, you can find it. If you have pets, you probably will have to be in a house. So houses can happen. They are a little tougher. There's a real glut of condo inventory right now and a real glut of apartment inventory. A lot of people are moving out of apartments into homes. So you can get an apartment really easily. You can probably get an apartment that will grant you a pet pass. If you have to live in a house, can you find something? Yes, it's a little tougher now. But if you're willing to go into a condo or a townhome or an apartment, it's staggeringly easy.
Okay.
Right now.
Okay. Great. And then Amy was saying, kind of in response to the staging, said she's staging her home to take photos and then emptying it for the actual showing. What do you think about that?
That's a home run. Yes, absolutely.
All right. Awesome. That is all the viewer questions I have at the moment.
I had one real quick talking about that August lull. Tell us about, because look, it's been the last 4 months have been completely insane in real estate. All over the state. I mean, Houston area, obviously Austin, the #1 place in the country. A lot of our buyers are out there, a lot in San Antonio, a lot in Dallas, Fort Worth. So what happened? Did they miss the bubble? What's the matter? Why is it all?
So the answer is it's too early to tell. I don't think they did. So the biggest month in real estate are April, May, June, and July every year. And the reason it is April's the busiest month because the organized people say, okay, I need to get my home on the market, get it sold so I can buy a new home. And in July, it's busy because the disorganized people are like, oh, yeah, I guess I need to get my home.
Oh, yeah. I've been saying since April that I need to do that.
Yes. April, May, June is kind of the organized people window. July is the, oh, yeah, I need to sell window. So those months are really busy. But in August, anybody with kids starts thinking about back to school. And that's all they focus on. If you ask anybody what's the most important thing to them, they're always going to say their kids. Their priorities are going to be on their kids. Getting your kids back in school or back in front of the computer or back to skating lessons that start again, back to Little League that starts again. All of those things that start up in the fall pulls people's attention away from home buying. I can say historically, I've been doing this 15 years, and every August, I think I'm the worst realtor in the world because my business drops off. And every October, I'm like, hey, I'm pretty smart again. So I can't promise that I'll be smart again in October, but historically, I've been smarter in October than August. The market always falls off in August and September. So I think it feels like it's just the August lull, but we won't know again until October, November. But it feels like this is here to stay. Last time we saw a bump like this was 2013, I think, right, Eric? And that bump hit late 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015. It slowed a little in 16, and then 17, the developers caught up and it kind of evened out. So it took, last bump was 4 years. My guess is this bump's it's a 4-year bump. I would guess.
Presidential elections are usually lulls. I mean, people kind of wait and see when there's presidents. So that's why 16 a lot of times is not a lot happening. I did also want to ask I'll go back to that a little bit, but so what are some of the things that people maybe should, I just want to ask about staging earlier, what should they spend money on, time, energy doing, looking to sell an existing home? And then of course we'll wax the flip side here in a second, but what should someone actually spend money to? Hey, I want to repaint my house and put new floors in and new countertops and new roof and new this and new this and new that. What really should they spend their time, energy, money doing?
The single best ROI, and we'll go in order, the single best ROI on your property, paint. The exterior of the home, the interior of the home, fresh paint goes a long way. I've seen homes that we couldn't give away, throwing gray. We're coming out of gray being the hot color. And does it feel like white or blue's next, Eric? It's white and blue.
White and gray seem to be stealing the show for us right now.
Mm-hmm.
So people will paint their home the new shade of gray, the new shade of white, and it'll sell. So number one, return on investment, paint, inside and outside. Number two is fresh mulch in the front and trim the trees in the front of your house. So when people pull up to the front of the house, they can see it. For some reason, if you pull up to the front of the house and can't see a home, they don't buy it. They want to be able to see the house when they pull up. And in the photos, if people are just looking at two big lollipop trees, they're not going to buy the house. So trim your trees. After that, you spend money in the kitchen and the bathrooms, and then everything else is after that. Outdoor kitchens do add value, but it's not a dollar for dollar return. If you put in an outdoor kitchen, for God's sake, do that for yourself to enjoy it while you're there. Don't put it in for anyone else. Pool, of course, is the worst return on investment. But in Texas, and especially in Houston, pools do help you sell. You do get most of your money back out of pools if you live there 3 or 4 years, but not in the first year. So the best thing you can do is paint. The other thing I will say is men and women buy homes differently. So to a man, the front of their home is where they get their value. When people pull up to the front of the home and someone goes, hey, that's a big house, the guy's like, yes, it is a big house. So men, the front of the house is really important. You want to make it look, you want to make it pop for men buyers. With women, it's when they get inside, women will say, hey, I love this home. This is why I love the home. So the inside of the home needs to be staged properly for women, but you need to make the front of the home pop for men, or the man's not even going to walk inside. So I think it's really important to understand how people think. Women are about comfort in nesting, and men are about how big is my house, or how big or how pretty does it look from the outside. And that's a generalization, and I'm not saying every man's that way, and I don't mean to sound sexist, but I will say you won't even get in a lot of houses if the guy won't get out of the car.
Well, you've done 3,000 transactions in the last 15 years, so I think there's something.
Yeah.
Well, and you've pretty much just like summed up every home improvement conversation I've had with my husband, because he's all about yard, this, and I'm like, I don't go out there. Like, what?
So there's a story out there. You want your trees. Let's see if I can do this. You want your trees to look like they're reaching up to the gods, right? Any limb that's pointing down should die. Any limb that's pointing up, that's a value. You want your tree to look like it's reaching for heaven. That's important. And any limb that's pointing down is just blocking the house. So if you get a proper arborist in, that can do a lot for your house.
Oh, good to know. That's good advice.
Okay, so flip that question around. You kind of answered a little bit, but what should people avoid spending money, time, and energy doing if they're looking to sell an existing home?
Anything that has to do with the bones of the house. Don't put in a new AC unless you have to. You can brag all day long that the home has a new AC system. That doesn't impress the wife. She doesn't care. Then the wife is the buyer. The husband will help pay for the home, but the wife is going to pick the home. She doesn't care if you have a new AC.
Yeah, it's something like 89% of real estate transactions are decided by a female.
Right. Women don't care if you have new windows. They would rather put them in afterwards and pick the color they want. Women don't care if you have a new hot water heater. And I'm not saying there's not the engineering female that does care, because there are. As a general rule, women buy the home and they don't care about a new water heater. So unless you have to replace a bone item, don't replace it. And if you do have to replace it, let the buyer ask you for it and make it part of the negotiation. But don't proactively replace water heaters, roofs, unless you can get the insurance company to pay for it. Don't proactively replace things unless they have worn out or you're afraid they're going to leak and cause a problem in the home.
It's funny you said, because we got a kind of an equal thing a little bit on your land side, and that is like, with appraisals, obviously, the more rural we go out, which is 91% of our business, sometimes the hardest to find comps. It's a little easier this year, but in the past it's been kind of a challenge, right? And we have to put things like a septic system in the home, right? We have to have a water well or something. You have to have power. In some cases, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 worth of utility work to get power out there. You don't get a lot of value out of those things on an appraisal, right? Why? Well, because the lender, when they flush the commode, they expect that it just goes somewhere, right? When they flip the light switch, they expect the lights to come on. Like, I don't care what it costs you to put those in. That's part
it's
of
not a house if it doesn't do those things.
Yeah. So same thing on your water heater, on your windows. Like, I put a new water heater in. Good. I expected this house to have working hot water. Thanks.
Yes.
Like, you met the bare minimum. Well done.
And what do they call the Ryobi hot water heaters? The InstaWater.
Oh, the Renai tank.
Renai adds 0.0 value to your house. I mean, it's cool. I really like it, but it's not going to get a buyer to pay more for it.
Right.
Solar panels. We don't know. We haven't seen it get a lot more for your house yet, and they're so expensive. I would say, I think solar panels are cool. And if you know for sure you're going to stay in your home 20 years, because I showed there a 15-year payoff, super. But for God's sake, don't put on solar panels as an investment thinking the buyer is going to pay you back for them, because they're not.
Great point. Great point. All right. Dawn, we got any more questions or comments that have popped up? I think a few have rolled in.
Yeah, we have Angela, who's agreeing that her clients are focusing on school starting too. So she's seeing that same August slowdown that we were talking about. Joe is commenting that his house is on commercial property. When I sell the land, would it be more attractive to a buyer if the buildings were removed and the land leveled?
No,
would you answer that question, please?
Yeah, that's such a broad question without seeing it. It depends on what application does the house have now. So when an investor, I have a property right now that the buyer wants $2 million for it, because you can build a $7 million kind of mini skyscraper, little mini tower with condos on it, and that's great. But the land isn't worth $2 million, so it doesn't matter. But it's great that this person could build this, but it doesn't make the land worth more. So the answer to your question is, if there is a value to the building, keep it. Don't level something unless you have to. You can make it part of the deal. It's not necessarily more attractive if it's been leveled, because leveling something, what's the cost to level a house? Or if it's less than
it could be, Joe, depending on where you are, because if you're inside of a city, they're going to require demolition permits and utility disconnects and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you can get to the mid 5 figures in a hurry on demolition. I mean, it starts at the $10,000 to $15,000 range, and it goes up from there, and it gets pretty expensive pretty quick. Like Tim's saying, unless this is just like amazing value by having a cleared piece of property, I wouldn't do it unless you have a broker in that area that's got that kind of experience. It's like, hey, if you level this thing, I can get you, dollar for dollar, 2 times more for your return.
So one thing I want to tell Joe real quick, and the movie producers gave me the best business lesson ever. And the movie producers, he goes, rule number 1 of producing a Broadway play is never use your money. And rule number 2 is never use your money. Joe, what I would say is, why use your money on, you own the property. Don't use your money on anything on the property unless you absolutely have to. If someone tells you and can prove that tearing it down adds value, super. I don't necessarily think it will. I don't think it's the best use of your money to do that. I would rather you spend your money on doing market research or hiring the right realtor. them come to you and tell you why you should tear it down. But just tearing it down for tearing it down's sake, I don't think it offers really any value.
Okay.
Very cool. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank you. Faith is sharing that she cares about both. She likes the outside and the inside of the house. So she wants to make sure everything's great. So.
Yeah.
Terry is asking if there's any word on interest rates going up.
I have an answer, but go ahead, Tim. You see what you've heard. I know we've heard on the builder side.
I just met with the lender today, and I did not ask. It's funny. I haven't asked about interest rates in 3 or 4 months, and it's not that I don't care. I do. But the market's going so. When the market slows down, I start asking about interest rates. I haven't even thought about it. That sounds terrible as a realtor, and I know I 100% admit that. But I'll let Eric answer that one because the honest truth is I don't know.
Yeah. So Terry, we on the NAHB side, National Association of Home Builders, the chief economist for them. I mean, we are being told it's not going to be anything even on the radar of the federal government through 2022, maybe into 2023.
Wow.
Now, that being said, that's today. It's what, August the 17th, 2021. It's 2021. Who knows what's going to happen? I've not seen the trailer yet from 2022. I'm not sure I'm bought into that just yet, but I do know that things can change on a dime. But that is something that, and again, just understand that when you read that the Fed is meeting, so the Federal Reserve is going to meet, that's not who determines interest rates. Now, it plays into eventually what the interest rates may be, but it is not what determines the interest rate. They're determining the rate at which banks borrow from the federal government overnight, the overnight rate. Now, it can tend to trend in what the rates are going to do, but right now it's as close to zero as you're going to get it. And they will go up and actually we're in a couple of weeks, another sneak peek. We're having a loan officer come on, with an NMLS licensed loan officer with AMCAP Mortgage to come on. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but we're talking about the cost of waiting a little bit about, hey, well, we'll just wait till prices come down, right?
Oh, come on.
We're going to talk about that in a second. I'm going to get to you. But all that to say, no, we are not seeing an uptick in rates. We're not being told the rates are going to go up. We always are qualifying people actually a little bit higher rate. That's just a defense mechanism for Tilson, just because we know how long our process is. I recommend people are doing that. If you're looking at if you're talking about doing a moonshot, right? When you're throwing a ball to a wide receiver, you're throwing to where the receiver is going to be, not where he is now. You throw where he is now, you're going to throw it behind him. So we actually are typically, when we pre-qualify someone through one of our preferred lenders, we do it at the current rate, obviously with the market rate, but we also like to see them, okay, what if the rate did go up 1%? Could they still qualify? We'd much rather know that now while you still like us and we're still friends than, when the house is halfway finished and then we find that out. Tim, what are you seeing? When are prices going to go down, Tim? We want to know when prices
that based on demand in the market and the rate people are moving to Texas, no. I will say I've been in the market, like I said, 16 years, and the prices have gone down over a 3-year period, 0.0% of that time. Have prices gone down? Has there been a 3-month dip in prices? Absolutely. Has there been a 6-month dip? Sure. Has there ever been any time when I had a client buy a home that 3 years later, as a general thing, the market hasn't been better? No. Now, if I have a client who moved in a home, trashes it, and has the worst neighbors in the world move in, and the school district goes bad, could that one home drop in value? Sure. But the market has not gone down over a 3-year basis in my entire history. Again, over a 3 or 6 month period, can you argue the market's been softer? Yes. Yeah. But if you go 2005 to 2008, the market went up, not quite double digits, but close. 2013 to 2016, it went up almost double digits every year. And then it did give a little back, but it didn't give back all 30%. And then what it did give back, it made up a year or 2 years later. So there's never been a 3-year period in the 15 years I've been in the business where the market's dropped. And I don't think now is the time it's going to happen either.
And don't forget, Tim's on the resale side, so it will kind of ebb and flow more so than the new construction side. And new construction is not going to go down.
New construction is going crazy.
Yeah.
New construction is going up every week.
Well, hello, Faith.
Hi, Faith. I know Faith. I met her in person.
Enough.
And then we've got Chris joining us from Savannah.
Wow.
Somebody said gig 'em earlier.
Yep, you got
That's right.
Linda coming in from Austin. She says gig 'em.
Gig 'em, Linda.
Luke is asking us if we install any water moisture barrier between the surface of the foundation and the bottom plate.
Well, Lucky Luke, we do a couple of things. First of all, we do a moisture barrier, a vapor barrier between the actual dirt, the soil, before the slab is placed. So before we pour concrete, you'll see we have a foundation video you could go watch. Maybe Don or Kelsey could drop a link in there. But what it does is we put a 6 mil black polyethylene plastic on the dirt before we put the cables and the steel and everything like that, before we place concrete, to keep moisture from coming up into the slab. And then we use a material on the exterior toe plate around the home. We use sill seal, which is kind of a foam, almost like a gasket that's that's the width of the wall, and it goes down before the first 2x4 does. That's bolted down, and that's more for an air transfer. That's not really so much as for moisture barrier. The real moisture barrier is beneath the foundation, between the soil and the slab itself. That's where and then we use a pressure treated toe plate, interior and exterior walls. So the first board we lay down that touches the concrete is treated wood, like you build out of a deck.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah. Boom.
Awesome.
See, yeah. Tim nailed it.
Sam is asking, have the market challenges of earlier in the year leveled off any? The price of lumber is down, but what about supply chains and construction pricing overall?
Yeah, no, it's not leveled off.
I have not seen builders bring their prices down any. They took the prices up in response to the lumber prices, and 0.0% of them have taken the prices down any.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
so
that's because the price of everything else is still going up.
So still steel, copper, all the stuff that couldn't go up while lumber went up as soon as lumber gave a little bit. And it's still not down to where it was before all this happened. Like, it's still not even close to 2019 levels. And
prices aren't going down for builders anytime soon.
No, and actually, Sam, we have not seen the challenges have not, because the demand hasn't stopped. I mean, that's the deal. Is we're still relying on places all over the country, and in some cases around the world, to get parts, pieces, semiconductor chips, things like that, and stuff for appliances to get here. And because demand hasn't let up, getting that stuff here hasn't gotten any easier. So we're still seeing a lot of those challenges. It's still very unpredictable. The prices aren't as crazy fluctuating. They seem to have hit a level spot. But time frames are still all over the place, because trying to get the material there. I mean, just yesterday we were trying to source hardy siding, and it was becoming an issue. I mean, it's not broadly speaking issue, but used to were, we'd go ask for 4,000 sheets and we get them in no problem. And now it's like, can we get like 400? Can we get that many? So we're seeing some of that kind of stuff. It's just suppliers are having a hard time keeping up with demand. So
yeah, Sam, I think that's a really good question, because in the past there have been times where prices have dropped just a little, but based on demand, I do not see that happening at all. So Ellison is one of the biggest master plan communities that's left in the area that I work in, and I just saw a home from a run-of-the-mill manufacturer. This isn't the top-of-the-line manufacturer. This isn't a semi-custom manufacturer. This is a standard, one of the Big 10 manufacturers in Texas, a 2,600 square foot home that 2 years ago was 280, 250. I just saw multiple bids on that home, and it sold at 470. A 2,600 square foot one-story production home, 470. And I mean, yeah, that was at the peak of the market, and I get that, but the new asking price on that home is 420 something, and that was a 280 home 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It's crazy, and it's not going to get softer.
Cool.
Wow. Okay. Will is asking, with interest rates the way they are, do you think it is better to finance your new home or pay cash with the discount Tilson gives you?
Ooh, financial advice. Tim, what say you?
Fun question.
Dave Ramsey, are you still doing, is the program still? Okay, so Tim is go tell about the Dave Ramsey program that you.
So I'm a Dave Ramsey endorsed local provider. So yeah, I have the haircut of Dave Ramsey in the day. He has a little more money than I do. Go Dave. All right, so on paying cash for a home, I think my advice to you would be, it depends on what you have planned for that money. If that money's just going to sit in a bank account anyway and do absolutely nothing, then yes, if you want to pay cash for your home, do. But money's so cheap right now, a better play, and we have a real estate expert right there too. She and her husband have bought a lot of investment properties. A neat play might be the money on your home so cheap. Instead, maybe buy 2 investment homes with that cash, and then use the cash from those homes to pay off your home. And I love Ramsey, but one of my favorite and best guys is Robert Kiyosaki. And several years ago, his wife came to him and said, "Hey, I want a Ferrari." And he goes, or actually Lamborghini. "I'm not buying you a Lamborghini, but I'll buy you an apartment complex." And she said, "I don't want an apartment complex. I want a Lamborghini." And he said, "I'll buy you an apartment complex. You manage it. And then with the profits, you can buy a Lamborghini." So I would give that advice here too. If the money's sitting there and it's dead and you have no other use for it and you want to put it in your home and save the 3% that you could finance the home for, super. But if you have a better plan for that money, which, read what every real estate investor should know about cash flow by Frank Ganelli, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, read Cash Flow Quadrant, read The Richest Man in Babylon, read those 4 books, and they'll all tell you do something with that money that brings back mailbox money. Mailbox money is the best thing in the world. So yes, you can pay for your home. If you're not going to do anything else with anything, super. But I would probably rather see you buy 2 investment homes with that and then use that money to pay for your home.
Yeah, that's very good advice.
That lady right there is doing it right there.
No, I mean, money is very inexpensive right now, and yeah, if you can do better than that, whether it's in real estate, or whether even just simple investing. I don't know what you're better at or what you have more experience, what you're more comfortable with, but even stocks and mutual funds and things like that are doing better than 3%, which is what you can buy.
Yeah.
You can borrow money at. So if you can put that money, like what Tim's saying, put it to work. I mean, obviously, real estate's his area of expertise, and broadly speaking, your money's pretty safe in real estate in Texas, even in Houston County, which is where you are. I mean, I got the guy there that runs his cows on our family's place up there. He's got it. I mean, he's got it down to a science that land in Houston County doubles in value every 15 years, and that is an extremely rural county by Texas standards. And he's got it down pat, and he has racked up a lot of land out there, and it doubles in value every 15 years.
Wow!
So, you want to take that cash and just go buy 80 acres somewhere, or 800 acres, or whatever you want to do somewhere there in Houston County. Go buy it, sit on it in 15 years. It'll be worth double.
And I'm not the smartest investor in the world, but I only buy stuff I can touch. So that's me personally.
No cryptocurrency for you?
No. I'm not saying it's a bad investment. I'm just saying I buy houses and I buy land because I can touch those things.
Yeah. All right, so we have a question. Signed a contract with Tilson in July and have a 3,000 square foot home to sell after closing with Tilson in 12 to 14 months. How can I get info about the program with Tim? How is the market for that size home?
So the program that we do with Tim is only if you needed to sell that home to qualify for the new home. That's not something that we do if it's just one that you're going to sell later, just for clarification. And then, it depends on where it is. I know Tim will need to have more information.
Hey, put your address in the text real quick.
No.
I'll run comps for them for free. They don't have to list with me. I'll run comps if they want to know what the home's worth. I can do that in like 5 minutes.
Maybe a zip code. I don't think we want the actual address in there.
Maybe we can find buyers on the broadcast too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just type me your zip code, 3,000 square feet, or city, or neighborhood. Neighborhood would be best.
Neighborhood. All right, yeah. So KM 1964. If you put your neighborhood in there, Tim will work that out for you. How the market that size home is. I'm going to say the market for that size home and my crystal ball, good.
Good. It's selling 4 days above list price, but besides that, it stinks.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, we're waiting for that. Crystal is asking what can she do if she has poor credit?
Tim, do you know of anything? What are the options for someone that credit challenged?
Well, if you're credit challenged, the best thing is not to be cash challenged. But if you're credit and cash challenged, I would say the number one thing you can do is spend all of your time working on your credit. Every moment of every day. So there's a great, the Dave Ramsey plan for that, which I 100% agree with, is if you have poor credit, stack up all your credit debt, all right, and your bad debt, and you pay it off in order of smallest to largest, and highest interest rate. So there's 2 factors when you pay it off: highest interest rate and smallest. So several years ago, I had a family member who was $40,000 in debt, She refinanced her home, which I don't recommend. I don't love, but she refinanced her home and paid off that debt. Didn't love that idea. What I would prefer you do is you just lay out all your credit cards in a row, pay off the smallest one this month, the next smallest one next month, and knock off the credit cards one at a time, focusing on the higher interest rate credit cards first. If somebody owes you a big favor, your dad, your kid, somebody that would give you the money to pay off stuff, super. But the best thing is just go credit card by credit card, smallest balance first, next smallest balance second. I've seen people completely pull out of debt in 3 or 4 months. Stop eating out. Don't eat out until your credit card debt's paid off ever again. Watch all your movies at home. Become a really good cook at the house. Eat a lot of rice and beans. I've been there. I paid my way through college 100%. When I graduated college, I had $40,000 worth of debt. I did not eat out. I live in a really cheap apartment. I rented a room out to somebody. So, but the number one thing you can do, lay on all your credit cards, pay off the lowest interest rate ones first. That's the best.
And one thing to add to that is in the Dave Ramsey program that Tim didn't mention, but I know he knows as part of it, and that is when you pay that first one off. Let's say that was $40 a month you were making to pay that one off. You take that 40 you were paying on that one, and you add that to the second.
Yes.
One. So you don't reward yourself for that, and you pay that one off, and you take that one that you were paying plus the next one, and you pay that one. And it's like a snowball effect. That's how it'll happen in 3 or 4 months.
Hey, reward yourself when you have an 800 credit score.
There you go.
Yeah, or a 700 credit score, and because credit really does make life so much easier. Yeah, Faith, the Dave Ramsey program is actually the other thing I will say, which is important. There's some great Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. Great book about debt. Total Money Makeover is one of his best books. Listen to the Dave Ramsey program, of course. So this is a great tip for those of you who have kids. So my daughter's 22 and she has $30,000 saved up at 22. We didn't give her that money. She saved it. She's worked for it. But the best, so this is going to sound like a crazy tip, but when your kid's 11 or 12 taking car shopping, let them pick out any car they want, any car. And then when they say, are you going to pay for this for me, Dad? You say, no, I'll pay for half though. You've got to have $8,000 saved up by the time you're 16 if you want this car. Kids get real motivated about 12 or 13 because they want to be away from their parents. Start teaching them about money. And then when my daughter was 16 and we bought her car, we actually didn't take the money from her. We said, we told you to save it. We didn't say we'd take it. Now you have to have $25,000 saved up to move out of the house. And by the time my daughter was 21, she had that and moved out of the house. So teach your kids about money really early too. I think that's really important. Ramsey talks about that a lot. But read Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey.
Agreed. Excellent.
Very good advice.
Excellent. These are great tips. Tim, I guess we've kind of covered it, but I do want to touch on, obviously, work from home, remote learning. We've touched on a little bit. How has that affected buyer and even seller behavior and resales that you've seen? Because we know it's affected the on your land stuff. Mm-hmm. People are getting to go work, like you said, they can go live wherever they want to and work from there as long as they get decent internet. So what have you seen?
People have bought homes without seeing them. So that was I saw that occasionally in my first 15 years where people would take the virtual tour and buy it. How it's affected me as a realtor is technology like Matterport and home tours, virtual home tours have become a lot more important to buyers, especially when the beginning of COVID, hey, if I get within 800 feet of touching that baby, I will have COVID. I swear I will. To now where people aren't as worried. In the beginning, the virtual tours were really important. So that behavior changed a lot in the beginning. It's a lot closer to where it is. Some buyers are still or sellers are still super sensitive. They want you to put on the booties and the mask and everything when you enter. Some sellers don't care. So it changed buyer behavior a lot the first few months. I will say it hasn't changed it a lot the last several months. So I won't say it's back to where it was because it's not, but it's not tough. So
yeah, and here in Texas, a lot of the schools are the kids are back in school, some masked, some not masked, whatever, but they're pretty well all back in school at this point. And everybody, I think most parents figured out remote learning is not for us.
No.
Get thy tail to the school. Anyway, so all right, so we got maybe more questions come in, and then guys, we're gonna start wrapping up the questions because I know Tim's been really gracious with his time, but
I got something for you real quick. Hold on, I'm trying to narrow it. I'm the lady who asked the 3,000 home square foot question. I'm about to have an answer for her.
Oh man!
All right.
Sit Tim on a wild goose chase.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, Polly's saying hi. She loves our houses, especially the ones that she's going to build.
Well,
it's my favorite too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tanya,
okay. Tim, you're going to get this one answer, buddy.
All right, here we go.
Oh, so you have the 3,000 square foot answer?
Yeah, I'm having to narrow this a lot, but I'm almost there. 29.
We have Jeopardy music or anything we don't have.
All right, I got it.
Oh.
Check all. Results. All.
Drum roll.
Okay.
We're watching a masterwork.
All. Quick CMA home. Sorry, almost there. I just want her to have this answer because it seemed important to her. The average home is selling in like 20 days, and this is all over Houston. The average home is selling in like 20 days.
That's an average too, by the way. That means that's got the 180-day stuff in there too with it, right?
Well, that's the homes that are in the counties that are. So Houston MLS is, I mean, like all over.
Outrageous, yeah.
Here it is. The average days on the market is 20 days. The average home is selling at 100.1% of list price in 20 days.
Wow.
Actually, sorry, the median's 20 days. The average is 57. So the median days on the market is 20. The average is 57. And again, that's the whole MLS. Some counties are better than others. So to answer that question that comes in, your home should sell in less than 20 days, and it should sell at about 101% of list price. If it's
now, at what point does your MLS consider it done? Is that the contract date, or is that closing date?
20 days to contract.
Okay.
The other thing I will say that's really important is in the old market, if a home was on the market 3 months, people would call me and say, "What's wrong with your house?" In the market we're in, if a home's on the market 4 days, people will call and say, "What's wrong with your house?" So if you will know if your home's not priced properly. If you don't have 3 offers in the first week your home's on the market, you're way too high. Not too high, way too high. Way too high. So you'll know if it's not priced properly right away. So
great.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so Tanya's asking, what is the best credit score we need to qualify for the best interest rates for a conventional loan? We are starting with 25% equity and don't want to pay VA funding fees, PMI, and or FHA fees.
Tim, do you want to answer? I have a shot.
I think anything above 780, you're probably going to get the best rates. But again, your credit score is one of your most valuable tools. The higher it is, the better. My wife has my credit score in the 800s and keeps it there. Thank you, Lori. But the higher the better credit scores. But I think if you're in the 750s, 760s, 770s, you're going to get the best interest rate.
Yeah, you're making the right choice, by the way, to try and avoid VA funding fees, mortgage insurance, FHA fees. Those are great. Yeah, conventional. If you can go that way, that's the way to go.
If you can't put 25% down, 20% down is fine.
Yeah.
But if you can't put down 25%, you've got to write your own ticket. I would say shop your lenders. If you've got a 750 credit score, shop lenders because the rates can vary immensely. The cheapest loans right now are the big box stores, but they're also the hardest ones to get through their paperwork. Yeah. Mortgage agents you're going to pay a little more for, but they're going to be a lot more consumer oriented. So it just depends on what's important to you.
Please don't use anyone. If you're working with us, please don't use anyone who ends in .com. They don't mesh well with us.
Yeah, and I like Wendy Locke's quote. There we go.
Yes, Wendy says that Tim and Tilson are the best, and she's not at all biased, at all, just because she works for us and her son works for us.
Smartest woman in the world.
By the way, she can also tell a story about getting a rental home with pets when you got time for that.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, right. Hey, the number one thing that'll stop a home from selling, real quick. Number one thing to stop a home from selling: smell.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the big 3, of course, are curry. Cooking in general, cats, and smoking. I've never had the big three together. I've had cats and smoking, which are bad, and I've had smoking and curry, but I've never had cats, smoking, and curry. I'm almost interested in seeing what that would be like.
Nope.
But,
Nope. I'm out.
But smell is the number one thing to stop your home from selling. So a lot of people get their home really pretty and don't worry about what it smells like.
Interesting.
That's really important.
Where'd you go?
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons that paint, it's an additional reason that paint is such a big return on investment, because it gives you that new, it's kind of like new car smell. New paint kind of gives you that new house smell.
Clean your carpets. That orange cleaner in carpets works really well. So smell is really important.
Cool.
Yes. All right. Stephanie's asking if you intend to pay 20% at closing, is it 20% off the total loan or total appraisal that is expected? Example, land and pool build are paid off during the home build. What are the minimum percentage down payment expected at home build closing?
Wow.
Okay, so typically it's going to be whatever your loan amount is. That's what's going to be your 20%. As far as if you're talking about loan to value, which is what I assume you're talking about, Steffi. If it's something different, let me know. But if you're talking about your loan to value, which is a ratio of the dollar amount that you're borrowing on the top versus the dollar amount that it is appraised at the bottom, so they kind of play together. The loan amount will be based on the appraised value. So you would be looking to put 20% of that value down to get to an 80% loan to value. So the best thing to do would be get with your lender on once the appraisal comes in and say, okay, I want to be at 20% equity position. What do I need to bring to the table at closing?
The exception to that is if a home doesn't appraise, you will have to come up with extra money at close for the difference a lot of times. So let's say you buy a $500,000 home, but the appraisal only comes in at $450,000. Based on the lender, you might have to come up with up to an additional $50,000.
You will. And when you're building that home, you got to come up with that before we'll start.
Yeah.
Great point.
All right. Lucky Luke is asking if we're going to use our current home as a rental, what percentage of the rent can be used to fall within the 40% debt to income ratio?
Now, Lucky Luke might have to tune in here in a couple of weeks when we're bringing an actual licensed loan officer on, because I don't know if I want to step off in that and be incorrect. Do you have that number? I do not have that number because it is going to be based on the person's qualification program.
I know it helps, but there's so many qualifications. Like if the tenant just moved in, you don't get nearly the credit that you would if they've lived there a longer period of time. So Luke, that's a great question. The answer is this complicated. As a real estate agent, I should tell you I don't know. As a real estate investor, I will say when I've gone to get loans, the value of the tenant matters a lot. If you had a good tenant who's paid their rent and they've been there 3 or 4 years, it seems like you get more credit than a new tenant or a tenant that's missed rent. But again, that's a great question for the lender, not me. But as an investor, what I can tell you is it does help, but I don't know how much. It depends on the tenant and how long it's been.
Well, it's also going to depend if you're talking about the home that you're living in right now, you're not going to have anything unless you have a signed lease that you've already documented that someone's willing to pay for it. So
that's true.
That's definitely, you're going to need to get with your lender and ask the specific question about your situation. And
so
the last comment,
we'll have one here.
Yes, absolutely. And Callie's saying she's looking forward to building her Magnolia home. Thanks for all the info.
Thanks, Callie. Thanks for tuning in, too.
And then this is the last question I see. So if you guys have any questions, start typing. Tracy is asking, are the other counties taking as long as Hayes to get permits provided? Permits
Tracy, hey, I'm glad you asked because we actually have one in Hayes County. We're trying to build a model home at our San Marcos location. And yeah, it's taking forever. Now, it's not technically Hayes County on that one. It's City of San Marcos, but it's outrageous. But believe it or not, there are counties taking longer. Some counties are taking if they say we allow up to 60 days, they're taking 59 and a half days. I have opinions about that, but
it's not just counties that slow things down. Cities can slow things down. Everybody's trying to get in the way.
So. Working from home can slow things down. Just throw it out there. Lack of accountability can slow things down. So, but yes, unfortunately, Tracy, that's one of those things. And there's no incentive for them to go any faster. There's no reason. But Travis, believe it or not, actually takes longer. Travis County takes longer. And there are some, but yeah, Hayes County is one of the fastest growing counties in the country. And so they're dealing with that glut, probably short staffed like everybody else. I mean, every place that I know of is hiring, including cities and counties and restaurants and schools and builders and everybody else. So
if you don't have a job right now, you're just lazy or don't want one.
Yeah, you just don't want one. You have to hide. So anyway, that's unfortunately, yeah, it's just taking a long time, Tracy. Bear with us, bear with them. We'll get the permit eventually and get this thing to construction. So.
Okay. All right, Tim, Jessie wants to know if you want to buy her house. She says it's a good investment and she needs the funds to build.
Oh, there you go.
Well, it depends on, I guess, where it is. Jessie, my number was posted at the beginning. Feel free to call me.
Oh,
yeah, so how do people find you, Tim?
There we go. 877-313. That number will work. My personal cell is 713-822-2152. Feel free to call me there. I don't buy houses. We turned all our homes into commercial buildings over the last couple of years, but I'll look at it, and I have a ton of investors who are buying right now. So I will say, put it on the. If you sell it to me, that's great. But if you put it on the market right now, you'll get more. So yeah. I'm happy to buy it. It depends on the cost. The funniest call I get is people will call me and say, "Hey, if you find a $300,000 house for $150,000, will you call me?" And I'll say, "Yeah, I'll call you and say, I just bought a $300,000 house for $150,000." So the investors will pay you less, to answer your question, than you can get on an open market. But yes, will I buy your house? Sure. I have lots of people that'll buy your house. That's the easy part. Or do you want to maximize what you're making, Jessie? That's the question. So.
Yeah.
Great advice.
She's in Leander, so she says, let's do it.
Oh, yeah. Go sell it.
Yep.
The last two people's sites that I went to do their site visit with them, I'm making my way around the state, by the way, so you might see me somewhere, but they were both leaving Leander, Texas, and had sold their house for way above asking and just really silly.
Yep. Yeah. Stephanie's saying sell it now. Sold hers, made above asking. Living in an apartment's not so fun, but the money from her house is a lot of fun.
Yeah, Stephanie. Yeah, there's a price for everything, right? So, all right. So, folks, thank y'all so much for joining us. Tim, thank you, friend. Thank you for doing this. This is awesome. I hope you guys learned something today. Again, the whole point we do these is so that you, the buyer, the consumer, can be armed with the best information out there, the most accurate, most timely information to make the best decision for you and your family. Obviously, if you're looking to build a home on your land in rural Texas, we're who you need to talk to.
And real quickly, I've sold a lot of Tilson homes for years, and all the deals we've done, they have never done a buyer wrong. Buyers end up happy every time. They've been doing this since 1932. And I will tell you, I've been working with them for 10 years, and the weight that they put on making their buyers happy is, you won't believe it. Their reputation is everything to them. They want you happy. And that's where you want to work.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Dawn, for putting this together.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Kelsey and Nick, for monitoring the chat. So obviously, guys, we have our website, tilsonhome.com. It's open 24/7. We have 11 locations open. We have a 12th one underway. We just dropped that yesterday. So Waco is under construction. We're moving dirt. We're stoked about that. Let's see. We have an Instagram page, a Facebook page. We have a YouTube channel with hundreds of videos on there.
67 of these.
Oh, wow.
67 of wow. That's a lot of this.
That's a lot of us.
That's a lot of this.
I'm number 68.
I don't know what we're
You're number 67.
That can't be right. I'm always number 1.
Oh man. All right. So go to all those places, ask us your questions, engage with us. Our model homes are open 7 days a week all over the state. We really, really hope to see and hear from you guys, and we genuinely soon hope you make you part of the Tilson family. We'll see y'all later. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.